Okay, so today we're diving into a book that's been around for like over 2,500 years,
Wow.
Sun Tzu's Art of War.
Yeah.
And you might be thinking, military strategy, isn't that a little outdated? But
Uh,
trust me,
right.
this book,
Yeah.
it's about way more than just like winning battles. It's
Absolutely.
really a guide to navigating power
Yeah.
and conflict and decision-making in any area.
Yeah, that's right. Sun Tzu's work kind of came about during a time of just upheaval in China.
Huh.
The 5th century BC, a period known as like the Warring States period.
Oh, wow.
But his insights, they weren't just about surviving like on a battlefield. It was
Right.
about understanding the nature of conflict and competition itself.
And get this. The story goes that Sun Tzu had never actually led an army before writing The Art of War.
Really?
Talk about pressure. In fact, his big job interview involved training a rather unusual group, 180 of the king's concubines.
That's a pretty wild anecdote.
I know.
The king was skeptical of Sun Tzu's theory, so he wanted to see a practical demonstration.
So imagine this. Sun Tzu's trying to explain military formations to a group who, let's just say, might not have been taking things too seriously.
Yeah, as you can imagine, chaos ensued.
Oh, I bet.
The concubines giggled and chatted, and they completely disregarded Sun Tzu's commands,
Oh, no.
which actually highlighted a very crucial point for Sun Tzu.
Yeah.
Clear communication is paramount for any leader.
Right.
If your orders aren't understood, the fault lies with you, not those you're leading.
And Sun Tzu, being a man of principle, took a pretty drastic step to get his point across.
What does do?
He enforced discipline even on the king's favored concubines,
What?
which instantly commanded respect and attention.
I bet.
And it also kind of underscores this point that the art of war isn't just about brute force.
Right.
It's about planning, psychology, outsmarting your opponent.
Exactly.
And he writes, the art of war is of vital importance to the state. It is a matter of life and death, a road either to safety or to ruin.
Exactly. And to navigate this really complex landscape,
Yeah.
Sun Tzu outlines his very famous 5 fundamentals:
Okay.
moral influence, weather, terrain, leadership, and discipline.
Whether on like a Tuesday afternoon meeting.
Well, yeah, stick with me here.
Okay.
Because these fundamentals, they have surprising relevance to challenges that all of us face every day.
That's what I find so fascinating about Sun Tzu.
Yeah.
He's essentially saying that whether you're leading an army or a team at work, the principles of strategy and decision-making remain the same.
Exactly. He's emphasizing this need to see the whole picture.
Okay.
Take, for example, moral influence.
Okay.
Today, we might call that building trust and rapport.
Right.
It's about getting people invested in the shared vision,
Yeah.
whether that's on a battlefield or in a boardroom.
So you're saying that even in a corporate setting, having that strong foundation of trust and shared purpose,
Yes.
that moral influence
Yeah.
can be just as crucial as any strategic maneuver.
Yeah, absolutely. Sun Tzu recognized that true power comes not just from force, but from aligning people's hearts and minds.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
Okay, so we've got the foundations in place.
right.
What comes next in Sun Tzu's playbook?
Well, he's famously known for his emphasis on deception.
Yeah.
In fact, he writes, all warfare is based on deception.
Oh.
Now, before you think that we're advocating for lying and trickery, let's dig a little deeper into what Sun Tzu really meant.
Because I have to admit, the word deception always makes me think of like spies and secret agents.
Well, it's not really about being intentionally misleading, you know?
Right.
Sun Tzu's idea of deception is more about being strategic with information.
Okay.
It's about using surprise and like exploiting weaknesses
Uh-huh.
in a way that catches your opponent off guard.
Okay, so less James Bond, more like understanding the art of negotiation and persuasion.
Think about like a business deal.
Okay.
You wouldn't reveal your entire hand right from the start.
Right.
You might hold back certain pieces of information, strategically time your moves,
Mhm.
or even use your competitors' assumptions against them.
Yeah, it's about playing your cards close to the vest, so to speak.
Precisely. It's about being strategic and adaptable
Yeah.
in how you present yourself and your ideas.
Built that strong foundation of moral influence.
Right.
What's next on Sun Tzu's roadmap to success?
He places a huge emphasis on understanding the terrain,
Okay.
and not just in the literal sense.
Right, because we're not all leading armies across like vast
Well,
battlefields.
Exactly. Sun Tzu uses terrain as a metaphor
Okay.
for understanding the entire landscape of a situation.
Okay.
What are the challenges, the opportunities, the potential pitfalls?
So it's about doing your due diligence.
Yes.
Like if you're entering a new market,
Exactly.
you need to understand the competitive landscape. the regulations of customer base.
Precisely. And this applies to any challenging situation.
Right.
Let's say you're dealing with a difficult negotiation at work.
Okay.
Your terrain includes the personalities involved, the power dynamics, even the office politics at play.
Oh, wow. So it's about reading the room, sizing up the situation before you make your move.
Exactly. Sun Tzu would argue that the more thoroughly you understand the terrain, both literally and figuratively,
Right.
the better equipped you are to make strategic decisions.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But he also stresses that even with the most thorough planning,
Yeah.
you need to be ready for the unexpected.
Because, as we all know, things don't always go according to plan.
Right, and that's where another one of Sun Tzu's key principles comes in: adaptability. He famously writes, "Just as water retains no constant shape, so in warfare there are no constant conditions."
We like water. I love that quote. But what does that really look like in practice? How can we be more like water in our daily lives?
It means being flexible, being willing to adjust your approach as circumstances change.
Okay.
Rigidity, clinging to a plan that's no longer serving you, that's the enemy of success.
So instead of getting stuck in our ways, we need to be open to new information,
Yeah.
be willing to pivot to change course when necessary.
Exactly. Think about the most successful entrepreneurs.
Okay.
They're often the ones who are most adaptable, who can quickly pivot their business model, embrace new technology, or adjust to changing market demands.
So adaptability, that ability to be like water, that's crucial for navigating not just the battlefield, but the boardroom and even our personal lives.
Absolutely. Now, all of this, the strategy, the adaptability, it hinges on another crucial element that Sun Tzu emphasizes: leadership.
Yeah.
And it's more than just barking orders.
Yeah, it feels like what Sun Tzu considered good leadership goes way beyond just giving commands.
Right.
It's about inspiring your team, isn't it?
Absolutely. Sun Tzu was centuries ahead of his time when he wrote, "Regard your soldiers as your children, and they will follow you into the deepest valleys."
Wow.
He understood that true leadership is about earning respect,
Yeah.
not just demanding it.
That's such an interesting point.
Yeah.
So he's saying that if you treat your team with respect,
Right.
care for their well-being,
Yeah.
they'll be more likely to go the extra mile for you.
Exactly.
It's about fostering this sense of loyalty and shared purpose.
Precisely, it's about creating an environment where people feel valued and supported,
Right.
where they're willing to face challenges head on because they believe in the mission and they trust their leader.
So we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
Deception, adaptability, leadership.
Right.
But there's one more piece of Sun Tzu's strategic puzzle that I always find really intriguing.
Yeah. Okay.
This importance of information gathering.
Yeah.
He was a big believer in the power of spies.
That's right. And while we might not think of spies in the traditional sense today,
Yeah.
the underlying principle is as relevant as ever. Knowledge is power.
So it's less about cloak and dagger espionage and more about good old-fashioned research and analysis.
Exactly. Sun Tzu would argue that before you make a move, you need to gather as much information as possible. What is your competition doing? What are the market trends? What are the potential risks?
It's about being informed.
Yes.
About doing your homework so you can anticipate challenges and make the smartest decisions possible.
Right. In a way, we're all engaging in our own forms of intelligence gathering every single day.
That's true.
Whether it's scrolling through industry news,
Yeah.
networking with colleagues, or even just paying attention to what your customers are saying online.
It's about connecting the dots, seeing the bigger picture, and using that information to your advantage.
Right.
Which, if you think about it, is exactly what Sun Tzu was advocating for over 2,000 years ago.
It's a testament to the timelessness of his work.
It is.
These principles, though, rooted in ancient warfare, they provide this framework for strategic thinking that's still incredibly relevant today.
Absolutely, and it all comes back to this idea of having an unfathomable plan,
Yeah.
which is something that Sun Tzu talks about quite a bit in The Art of War.
He does.
He believed that the most effective plans
Mm-hmm.
are the ones that your opponent can't predict.
Right.
So to kind of bring this home for our listeners, how can we craft our own unfathomable plans in our own lives?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
It starts with understanding that an unfathomable plan
Right.
isn't about being unpredictable for the sake of it.
Right.
It's about being strategic, adaptable,
Okay.
and always staying one step ahead.
So it's about thinking outside the box,
Yeah.
anticipating your opponent's moves,
Yes.
and having a contingency plan for every scenario.
Exactly. It's about being adaptable enough to pivot when necessary,
Yeah.
creative enough to come up with innovative solutions,
Right.
and strategic enough to keep your ultimate goal in mind.
So as you navigate the daily battles of your own life, that difficult conversation, that career change, that challenging project,
Yeah,
remember the lessons that we've unpacked today.
absolutely.
Be adaptable like water.
Yes.
Seek out your own moral influence.
Right. Yeah.
And never underestimate the power of thorough intelligence gathering.
It's so important.
Sun Tzu's Art of War is a reminder that the principles of strategy and leadership are timeless.
They are.
They transcend time and context
Yes.
and offer valuable insights for anyone facing a challenge, big or small.
That's right.
And on that note, we'll leave you to ponder your own unfathomable plans.
Good luck out there.
Until next time, keep diving deep.